The Gauntlet shimmered in orbit around a collapsed star, a coliseum forged from alien metals and ego. It spun in silence, yet within, thunder rolled. Stomping feet, growling tongues, and the collective anticipation of over 30 sentient species, each packed into the tiered stands like war-hardened specters. The arena's floor was wide and circular, rimmed with retractable barriers humming with kinetic energy fields. Above it all, suspended holographically in the thin, artificial atmosphere, blazed the names of the fighters for the next bout. Krorik, bloodline of the First Claw. Aria Torres, representing Earth. The last name flickered longer, unfamiliar to many of the watchers. A murmur spread like static among them. Earth. Human. The upstart species from a death world nobody took seriously until recently. A few spectators leaned in, predator eyes narrowing. Others laughed or hissed. It was tradition, this mockery. Before every fight, the underdog was fed to the crowd's doubt. Aria stood in the narrow chamber beneath the arena floor, her fingers tightening the final strap of her combat harness. She wore no armor, none was allowed. Only skin, skill, and whatever pain tolerance you brought from your homeworld. Her breathing was controlled, but not slow. Every inhale was measured, not to calm her nerves, but to feel them. She wanted to taste the moment, every atom of it. A soft mechanical chime echoed through the waiting room. She looked up. Her signal. Beyond the rising platform, the air pulsed with thunderous sound. She could hear the drumming, literally, massive four-armed Malokians pounding their war drums in anticipation. The announcer's voice rang in 7 major dialects. Combatants, prepare. Round 1, begin. The platform surged upward, lifting Aria into light. The arena opened before her like a wound, heat and noise pouring from it. Across from her, Krorik emerged from the opposite lift. 8 feet tall, armored in natural ridges of bone and scale, he was a terrifying silhouette of galactic warfare. A Drathnak, a species bred for brutality and bloodline superiority. His yellow eyes locked onto her, and a toothy grin split his snout. Torres didn't flinch. Her eyes traced his posture, the way his shoulders hunched slightly left, how his dominant arm was a fraction slower to raise than the other. Injury, perhaps? She committed every detail to memory in seconds. She didn't look away when Krorik slammed his fists together and growled in galactic trade tongue, "I will end you before the 3rd breath." Aria rolled her neck, cracking the tension loose. "Then hold your breath," she replied flatly. The crowd exploded. In a control booth above, a trio of battle analysts watched closely. One of them, a war tactician from the Vlux Empire, leaned forward. "Foolish to send a human against Krorik," he muttered. "Even for spectacle. They bruise like fruit." His Drelex colleague chuckled. That's what the Zarn thought too. Until the Earthlings melted half their fleet in 5 minutes. Below, the combatants took their starting positions. Aria knelt, placing her hand flat against the floor. Cold. Smooth. Just enough grip. She looked straight ahead. Not at Krorik's face, but his feet. Balance was everything. Especially for what she planned. Krorik raised a clawed hand toward the stands, soaking in their cheers. Then he turned and faced her, crouching into a low combat stance. The arena's energy barriers pulsed blue. The countdown began in flashes.
3, 2, 1.
The force field dropped. Krorik moved first, a thunderous charge that cracked the ground beneath him. The crowd erupted again. Aria didn't move. Not at first. She waited until his shadow enveloped her, then slid sideways with clinical speed, pivoted, and brought her elbow hard into the back of his knee. It wasn't meant to hurt, it was meant to shift his footing. It worked. Krorik stumbled half a step forward, just enough for Aria to vault up onto his back like a grappling panther. He twisted, trying to shake her off, but she was already moving, wrapping her arms under his left armpit and locking her legs around his ribcage. He was powerful, but not limber. And humans, fragile as they were designed by evolution for leverage. Krorik roared and tried to slam backward. Aria shifted, twisting his left arm in the wrong direction. A loud crack echoed. The fight hadn't lasted 15 seconds. The crowd fell into stunned silence. Krorik collapsed to one knee, his arm limp and twitching. Aria stood behind him, her breath quick but steady. She didn't celebrate. She didn't smirk. She stepped back and let the med drones descend. The announcer didn't speak at first. He seemed stunned too. In the analyst booth, the Vlux tactician choked on his drink. Did she just? She did, said the Drelex wide-eyed. She snapped a Drathnak's arm. In the opening round, back in the ring, Krorik looked up at her, eyes gleaming not with hatred, but with something more dangerous, respect. Aria Torres offered no words, just a quiet, measured breath. The Gauntlet had spoken. And Earth, once ignored, now had everyone's attention. Silence lingered like smoke in the aftermath of the opening round, dense with disbelief and re-evaluation. Krorik, the undefeated titan of the Drathnak, was being lifted off the arena floor by stabilizing drones, his arm secured in a glowing nanocast that pulsed to the rhythm of his pain. He did not struggle. He did not roar.
He watched.
Aria Torres stood alone in the center of the combat ring, the crowd still processing what it had witnessed. Her hands were at her sides, the pulse in her neck slowing back to baseline. She wasn't gloating. She wasn't smiling. Her posture told the story. It wasn't luck. It was precision, training, and something far older, instinct sharpened by survival. In the gallery above, Commander Dalen of the Terran Frontier Corps observed through a one-way holoscreen, arms folded tightly across his chest. His jaw twitched, but not with tension, with calculation. Beside him, Ambassador Nakare of the Vril Confederacy exhaled through her translucent gills, clearly unsettled. She's efficient, Nakare said finally. She's human, Dalen replied, like it was the only answer necessary. On the med platform, Krorik tilted his head toward Aria and gave the faintest nod, acknowledgement, not defeat. Aria returned the gesture with clinical finality, as if closing a file in her mind. Below the main deck, in the secured rest corridor, Torres peeled off her training wrap, flexing her fingers. Pain lanced up her forearm. She rotated her wrist once, twice, testing mobility. Nothing broken, just bruised tendons and adrenaline's bitter aftertaste. Her trainer, a lean man in his 40s with cybernetic eyes and a voice like gravel, handed her a hydration packet. You went in early on the torque, he muttered. Could have snapped his elbow cleaner. I wasn't aiming for clean, Aria said, swallowing the liquid with a practiced tilt. I wanted the audience to hear it. The trainer smirked. Well, they heard it all right. You made the 9th sector news feed in under a minute. The headline's already trending. Deathworlder shatters the claw. Aria didn't respond. She didn't care about headlines. She cared about the next match. And the one after that. The Gauntlet wasn't a game. It was a stage and Earth's introduction to a galactic community that had written humans off as flammable anomalies. Now, they would have to rewrite everything. The next day, she returned to the observation bay to study the footage. Alone as always. The room was dark, save for the glowing holograms cycling through combat statistics and biomechanical readouts. She zoomed in on Krorik's movements frame by frame, how he opened his stance too wide, the slight hesitation in his left pivot, the moment of overconfidence when he believed brute strength would be enough. It never was. Not against her. A soft chime broke her focus. Incoming message, said the AI softly. Priority level, diplomatic. She raised an eyebrow. Display it. A projection flickered to life, a representative of the Heliox Dominion, a crustacean-like being with multifaceted lenses for eyes. Its speech was translated automatically. Human Cadet Torres. The Dominion acknowledges your performance. We extend an invitation for honorable sparring on neutral ground. Do you accept? She paused.
Carefully.
No, she replied. The message shimmered and faded, but the implications lingered. They were testing her, feeling out Earth's threshold. The Gauntlet was no longer just about combat. It was diplomacy wrapped in ritual violence. 2 days later, the second round pairings were announced. Her opponent, Brek Viathon of the Sirak Coalition. A telekinetic bruiser known for lifting and slamming opponents without ever touching them. Taller than Krorik. Smarter too. No known losses. And a deep, public disdain for unrefined primates. Aria read the brief with the same expression she wore in combat. Neutral, deliberate, unreadable. That night, she dreamed of oceans. Not Earth's darker ones. With pressure so thick it cracked bone. In them, she sank without resistance, her limbs heavy, her breath slow. Watching, waiting. When she woke, her heart was pounding. Not from fear, but clarity. She had to adapt. Again. The morning of the next match, a courier drone delivered a data slate with no sender information. On it was a short clip, her match with Krorik, edited down to 7 seconds. In slow motion. The arm snap, replayed 3 times. At the end, a message flashed in Galactic Common. Let's see if you scream as loud as he did. She showed it to her trainer without a word. He studied it, then glanced at her. You nervous? I hope he is, she said. He chuckled.
Good.
That means you're still human. As she walked toward the arena chamber once more, she passed Krorik in the observation tunnel. His arm was still bound, but his posture had changed. Less prideful. More precise. As she moved past, he spoke in a guttural whisper. Break him faster than you broke me. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. The lights of the Gauntlet blazed again, welcoming her return. And above, across the stars, the galaxy waited, not just to see if the human could win, but if she could dominate. She would. Because now, they weren't just watching Earth. They were watching Aria Torres. The arena pulsed with blue light, casting jagged shadows across the walls as the second match began. This time, the crowd didn't jeer. They leaned forward.
Watched.
Measured. Aria Torres was no longer an anomaly. They now understood she was a variable, and variables were dangerous. Brek Viathon stood opposite her, tall and fluid, his 4 elongated arms barely moving. His obsidian armor shimmered with kinetic pulses. Though it was ceremonial, like hers, it offered no protection. His eyes, reflective black orbs without pupils, regarded her with calm contempt. Around his skull, 6 levitating crystals orbited in slow, deliberate patterns. Telekinesis amplifiers. He didn't need fists to break bones. I won't let you touch me, he said in a voice like soft wind and static. This isn't the ground-pounding savagery your kind prefers. This is precision. Art. Aria didn't reply. The longer she listened to opponents talk, the easier it became to spot their blind spots. Pride always leaked through words. The energy field dropped, and the battle began with silence. A sudden gust of invisible force blasted from Brek's outstretched palm. Aria twisted low, the air screaming past her as it slammed into the wall behind. She didn't counterattack yet. Instead, she moved, stalking, staying just outside his predictable attack radius. He raised a second arm, flicked his fingers. A kinetic shockwave burst outward. She slid backward, dug in her heels and braced, then shifted with a sudden sidestep. The shockwave missed by inches. The crystals above him spun faster now, reacting to his elevated neural output. He was getting frustrated. That was good. Aria advanced. He pushed again. A vertical slam of force that cracked the floor tiles beneath her. She dove through it, landing hard on one knee. Her leg screamed in protest. Something tore in her thigh. She clenched her jaw and kept moving. Pain was useful, it narrowed focus. Then she saw it. For a split second, one of the crystals glitched, flickering, rotating off pattern. A synchronization fault. His mental load was overclocking the array. She faked left, then vaulted into a forward roll, using her momentum to close the distance. He panicked, tried to levitate her with a desperate pulse, but her proximity threw off the calibration. His focus broke. She was inside his range. One hit. That's all she needed. Her knee struck his midsection with brutal force, staggering him. His crystals shot outward and collapsed midair. She spun behind him, hooked his ankle with hers, and yanked.
He fell.
A Cyric falling wasn't a quiet thing. Their carapace struck the ground like armor hitting concrete. Aria didn't wait. She wrapped her arm under his jointed neck and pinned his shoulder with her weight. One twist and he went rigid. The crowd didn't cheer. They inhaled. Breck's limbs spasmed, then stilled. He gasped but didn't scream. That disappointed her. Above, in the broadcast gallery, high delegates from the Tri-Federation rose to their feet in silence. The humans had sent a soldier, but they'd bred a weapon. In the pit, Aria rose without ceremony. Her leg throbbed, definitely torn, but she walked steady. Every step said the same thing. Dominance, not luck. Later, in the medical bay, while synth flesh patched her muscle fibers, Aria sat alone. No trainer. No diplomat. No handlers. She liked it better that way. The door hissed open. Krorik entered, arm now fully healed and unbound. He moved slower but more deliberately. His presence filled the room like heat. "You do not fight for glory," he said. "No," Aria replied, not looking up. "I fight to send a message." He grunted approval. They heard it. She finally turned her head. "Did you?" He nodded. "And I respect it. But they won't just watch you anymore. They'll study you. And when that fails, they'll try to eliminate you." "I'm counting on it," she said. Krorik's eyes narrowed. "You're baiting them?" "No," Aria said, standing. "I'm teaching them." The door opened again. A figure entered, not a soldier, not a diplomat. A recruiter. Agent Corin of the Galactic Security Directorate. Her insignia bore no flag. Just a black circle on gray. She walked with cold elegance. "Cadet Torres," she said. "Your performance has accelerated certain timelines." "I'm not interested in politics," Aria said. "This isn't politics. It's necessity. You've changed the equation. And equations attract attention." Aria stared at her, quiet. "What do you want from me?" "A new role," Corin replied. "As Earth's silent ambassador. Not with words, but with dominance. A deterrent." Aria looked to Krorik, then back to Corin. "Are you asking me to keep breaking bones?" Corin's lips curled into something like a smile. "Only the ones that matter." Behind the recruiter, a hollow panel flickered to life. Names of upcoming opponents, most crossed out. One name remained. A species humanity had never fought. Born in gravity wells where time distorted, evolved in silence, known only by a single warning from their first contact. "Do not provoke the Arindral." Aria studied the name, then flexed her injured leg experimentally. Still tight, but workable. She spoke softly, almost to herself. "Let's see if they scream." And with that, humanity's warpath in the stars continued, not with fleets, not with fire, but with one cadet walking calmly into chaos, ready to show the galaxy what a Deathworlder was made of.